Hello and welcome to a very special, what would you call this, Jason? An annex?
I think you'd call it a mini-pod.
Ooh, I like that. A Nano-Pod.
Nano-Pod.
Remember Nanos? Remember iPod Nanos?
It was my first iPod. I'll never forget it.
Really? Yeah, because they just kind of gave up on trying to make it better. They just said, you know what I mean? Like there was no like, oh, what if we had this and they can stream stuff, or what if it could maybe like make phone calls or anything. It was just like, let's just make it less effective and smaller.
I did buy the small one. I did buy the little tiny one that you clip on, and I lost it a week later.
I had one of them and I put it through the wash.
Oh, brilliant.
Wow.
Wow.
And remember, you had to like take a CD and put it onto your iTunes, and then take it from the iTunes to the. There was this whole rigmarole with it all.
There was, yeah. I remember all of this. It's a trigger now. Now it's making me very anxious.
Yeah, and it is one of those things. Oh, it's so much more convenient. How is this? Well, you know, because you go to the store and then you buy a thing, and then you got to go home and you got to put on this new software, and then you get the thing, and then you get the music, and sometimes it doesn't recognize the music you own, so then you've got to put the names in yourself. Like if you had
Shut up and take my money.
If you had bought a record that wasn't like in the Billboard Top 100 for 8 weeks, like if you're an Australian, like good luck getting Sound as Ever by You Am I to autofill on like you. Oh, okay. Yeah. Here comes this song.
You were penalised for being an early adopter.
Yeah, and penalised for not being a massive fucking dork. Like
and listening to you too.
Yeah, exactly. What, Crazy Frog hasn't remixed it? Refuse to accept this as music. Like,
yep. Oh, all of these memories from 2007. They're killing me.
So the reason we're doing this shorter podcast is because the New Yorker isn't buying cartoons this week. So we thought we'd have a week off.
Yes, well, that as well as the fact that Scott is flitting off to Paris. It's not the primary reason, but he is going to Paris, France.
Yeah. So, and also we say raison. I don't want to pick you up on pronunciation.
Thanks, mate.
Is there anything more pretentious than the like? Do you do this when you travel to Europe? Do you?
Yeah.
Does the Australian in you preclude you from putting the accent on? Like I will deliberately mispronounce something so no one thinks I'm putting on the airs. You know, if I'm around because I can speak a little bit of French.
Right.
And I do find if I'm around other Australians, I will eventually get into it, but I'll balk initially. I'll feel a bit uncomfortable.
No, of course, because the French accent actually requires you to put on a voice. It's one of the few actual European accents that require you to sound totally different.
Yeah, and you're always like, all right, dial it back, Pepe Le Pew. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. You can't be Australian and do a serious French accent in all sincerity without getting the piss taken out of you. Like, for instance, I'm going to Paris for my birthday this year in September, and I'm going to be there with my mum and stepdad, and my stepdad is from Watford, so he talks like this. He's always a bit of old gimme geezer. So I am going to learn French using Babbel, and I honestly, I don't think it's going to go well. I think it's going to be restaurant French at best.
Yeah. Also, did we just become the most unlikable podcast in history? Like, well, we're a couple of cartoonists for the New Yorker.
Yeah, it's not
and we like to summer in France.
Here's an interesting correlation. The reason that the New Yorker aren't buying cartoons this week is because the cartoon editor is in Paris, France. So there's every chance that you may bump into her in a fast-moving line.
Yeah. So what do you think Paris is? Just a series of queues?
It is.
Around.
Have you been in a queue in Paris? They move very briskly.
Oui. The first time, my favorite traveling story that I had, like I don't have many traveling stories.
Yes.
But when I first went to Paris, a girl I was seeing, her parents lived there. So I
Right.
went to visit, and I had never been anywhere I'd never been to Europe, and I was
Right.
about 28 or 9.
Okay.
And I just left this radio station, Triple J, and I was just about to start at this other radio station. And Triple J is a government-run radio station.
Yes.
And the other place I went to was literally owned by a Murdoch. And so it was the first time in my life that I had more than $1,000 in my bank account, like at the same time. Like I'd had $1,000, but never at once.
That's
And-
funny.
And so I could travel, and I was like drinking wine and smoking cigarettes and stuff. But the thing that really struck me was I was walking around, and I was just dumbfounded by the history of the place, and the scant regard Europeans have for the history that's there. Like, because we're like, this building's 120 years old, and we're just so, look, it's made of sandstone. and when I was there, and nothing brought this home to me more quickly than there was a plaque, and in my very rudimentary French, I could read the plaque that said that this served as the town square from about 1100 till 1300. And I was like, holy shit. 1100. They had, oh my God, that's incredible that they had this. Like, they had a town square in 1100. Underneath that plaque on A4 paper from a dot matrix printer, it said salsa dancing lessons Wednesday. And it was just.
That's perfect.
Yeah, it was
That is
ideal.
perfect.
It wasn't even a French dance. It was just.
That's great.
So what I'm trying to say, that's how I learned to dance salsa.
Yeah. You can speak a little French and a lot of salsa.
Never saw the
That's
girl
fantastic.
again, but God, I came away dancing.
That's amazing. I love that. That's great. What a travel story. Boy, you're a real Anthony Bourdain here.
Oh yeah. I said I'd be good at that. But my problem is that if I ever did one of those shows, I'd be like, eat a bug? Nah. And that's the end of the episode.
Now, the show today is going to be a little shorter. It's just going to be a miniature pod, if you will. Let's call it episode 9.5.
Oh.
I guess we should read out some suggestions we've got.
Oh, yeah,
because
let's do that.
They
Let's do
tend
that.
to pile up.
We
if
should
keep
also
them.
mention, sorry to
No, not at all.
cut you off, we've got a bit of news for the next one.
Gonna tease some sizzle for the next
Yeah.
episode. We've got some news, my friends.
Yeah.
And it's good news.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't want to say too much, but get excited for episode 10.
Get excited. Well, maybe don't get excited. But
All right,
listen.
just
you just
approach
listen.
it with the same fervor that you would episode 9.
I'm just going to tell them Kim Kardashian's going to be on to discuss prison reform. I can't believe we got her. She has some lofty ideas.
Oh man, you are going away at a very interesting time here.
It's so weird because that's just because we'll just put this up straight away. Normally we have
Yeah.
to wait for a week, but
Right.
it's so weird that not only that. I mean, the meeting itself is insanity.
Bizarre.
But the fact that this guy has gotten to the point where someone like Kim Kardashian can just get in touch with him.
Yeah.
Like there should be enough checks and balances.
No, I think Kanye and Kim, I think they have, as far as the celebrity president goes, it's pretty much they should have a hotline to the red phone on his
Exactly. No, but this is what I'm saying is like what level of celebrity does it stop at? Like
Right.
is
I want to say Bono, but I don't know.
Oh, okay. Oh, I was thinking for this guy to be like, that's so Raven would be like.
Isn't she in the cabinet already?
She's the Minister of the Interior. Raven.
Yeah.
Oh, no, you
The
didn't.
Minister of
What?
Things being Raven.
Yeah, that's her job is to identify things that are so and aren't so Raven.
Well,
Okay, we're going to do some suggestions. Sorry, I keep
All right,
derailing.
so there was one in particular that I sent you. Now, you should know that we don't actually read these before the podcast. So we just stockpile them, and then we hit record and we just read them cold. So we
That's
don't
right.
vet these at all.
And sometimes we will. Jason will be like, this is almost like a behind the scenes, right?
Yeah.
What will happen is Jason will read out and be like, "Hey, we got an email here from Frank. Frank says, g'day guys, you are funny cunts." Okay, don't worry, I'll cut that. Okay, I'll start again. We got an email here from
every week.
pretty much every week. The first line is like a Samantha Bee monologue, and then it's okay. I'll do it again. Okay. All right. Yeah, I got one here, Scott. This one's from Frank. Frank emailed and Frank says, "G'day, guys. Love the show. You are funny. I had an idea that I thought I might run past you. Okay. Hitler's raping... No, all right, let's just go to the next one.
Let's move on to the next one.
There's always two that are just like so off base and horrible.
So we have some great listeners and some very unhinged listeners.
So
and
what
we
I'm going to
appreciate
say,
all of you,
is I think that we don't edit. So we're going in cold. Whatever comes up, we're not editing this.
We're just going to read whatever
We're just going to read
get.
whatever comes up.
Oh wow! Well, there goes our non-explicit rating on iTunes. Not that we ever had one. It's funny. So the first thing that I actually got in after last week's episode was someone who you'll remember we were discussing at length the idea of the just married car with cans rattling behind it.
Oh,
and then
that's
the bag
right.
lady chasing after it.
Yes.
I did pitch that one to the New Yorker, and she said, it's a funny gag. But it's not that you're making fun of people of any particular race or culture. It's just that it looks like you're making fun of homeless people. Now, if you wanted to fact check that, they're not actually homeless. They're just people trying to make ends meet who live down in Chinatown and have exorbitant rents and bad landlords trying to push them out. But who am I to split hairs? So there was one particular listener called Steve McGinn who about 22 years ago pitched a cartoon to the New Yorker, has sent me a photo of it along with the rejection slip from the New Yorker, and it is of a couple of bag ladies. No, a bag lady and another, let's call him a bag man, with two big trolleys full of cans, with one having a sign saying just married, and they've both got cans rattling behind them.
Also, can I just say, when it comes to the bagged, I don't see gender, so I'm like more bag them, they, not bag him.
I identify as a bag person, personally.
Right.
But
isn't that funny? So we had the same idea.
Well, roughly, I mean, it's them with cans dragging behind the trolley, which is roughly, it's drawing the same.
Okay. Oh, so they had just been married. And what did the rejection slip say?
It just said, "We regret that we are unable to buy the enclosed material. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to consider it." But the thing is, he's also written rattle, 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 and clunk. And I'm not sure the New Yorker are particularly...
What, the caption? There was a caption that said rattle, rattle.
He's around the clanking cans. He's written the onomatopoeia of rattle, rattle, and clunk. You should know that onomatopoeia is a big no-no in New Yorker cartoons, encouraged in Mad Magazine, but discouraged in New Yorker cartoons.
No, New Yorker says thump, whereas Mad says thwack. Have I ever told you the story of friend of the show, Chris Taylor, who is an award-winning comedian, and friend of ours. He had a job as... I can't remember what his actual job title was, but he worked at Picture Magazine, which in Australia is very different to Picture Magazine here in the States. Picture Magazine in Australia is kind of like low-rent soft porn.
Yes, I know the editor.
Right, okay, yeah, right. And it's like guys will send in pictures of their like girlfriends and like it'll be like home girl of the week, and it's like a woman that sent in a picture and she's like, "I love Doggy Style and the Adelaide Crows." It's like, it's weird. Super weird. Anyway,
brilliant.
He got a job there doing like editing captions or whatever. And he said his first day he was dragged into a meeting which really went on, which was guys, we've got to get to the bottom of this. How do we spell FWOOOAR? you know, when you see some great tits and you've got to write "for," and like it's and like it started off with someone who suggested it started with an F instead of a PH was pretty much shouted out of the room. Like, fuck off.
This is a very, very highly contested. This is a very highly argued thing in Australia because I put that in Ginger Megs all the time, and people will very often comment saying,
"There's so many pictures of
dickhead."
There's so many pictures of Norgs in Ginger Megs.
Yeah, the classic thing where Ginge walks into a strip club. For
yeah. Ginge upskirting his teacher.
oh, Jesus.
So for
I'm glad this is a mini pod because
I spell it. I would spell it PHWOOOAR, extra A's depending on how worthy what you're seeing is.
Wow, this is a real Yanni and Laurel situation.
Why? What do you do?
FWOOAAR.
Oh no!
Wow.
Oh god.
This is gonna divide us. This is gonna break us up.
Oh, this is like finding out like your wife puts milk in before the tea. Like, what the fuck is going on here?
Which is, I think, a jailable offence in Britain.
Oh, absolutely. I think most people that were sent out by the English to Australia was for that crime.
What are you in for? Put the milk in first. You dog.
Yeah. And they'd be treated like pedophiles, like constantly beaten.
The title for the actual ward was pedophiles and guys who put the milk in first.
All right. So
the next one comes from. By the way, thank you for sending that one in, Mr. McGinn. I have a very quick picture magazine story. When the art director of Mad Magazine, Sam Viviano, was down in Sydney in I think 2009, 2010, something like that. He, because Picture Magazine was also affiliated, and a lot of the cartoonists who work for Picture Magazine also work for Mad. Myself and a Mad regular, Anton Emden, and Sam all went to Picture Magazine's office on their invitation. The editor received us very warmly and gladly and said, "So great to see you guys here. Do you want a beer?" So we sat on the couch in the office there and had a couple of beers. And he goes, "Oh, I've got something very special organised for you blokes." And I was like, "Oh, that's okay. That sounds good. Okay, fun." And we're like, "But we really should be going." Sam, is still a bit jet lagged and he's got a flight to catch. And he goes, "Oh, here she is now. Turn around. Couple of fake Norgs in her face."
What?
The model has walked in topless. And she's I think she was the cover issue for August. So she walked in and gave us a big old cuddle.
Oh,
and,
wow.
Took a photo with us. Sam obviously very nervous that it would show up online and he'd lose his job. But yeah, that was my introduction to Picture Magazine. All right, so I'm going to move on to the next suggestion, which comes from Chad Lockwood. Thank you, Chad.
That's a great porn name.
Isn't it? Chad Lockwood.
Chad Lockwood.
Chad Lickwood. Anyway, subject line is, I should have listened ahead. So that bodes well. Hey there, Jason. Praying mantis husband coming home with flowers for his wife. Oh, darling, they're lovely. Well, guess who's not getting lucky tonight?
Oh, I kind of like that idea that your whole life in a praying mantis relationship as the dude is just not to have sex.
Yeah, just trying to be unlucky in love rather than lucky in love. You want to avoid it at all costs.
Yeah,
at the expense of your life.
Yeah.
We're getting, can I just say, that's the most popular topic of suggestions. We've had over a dozen praying mantis suggestions.
Praying manti joke.
Praying's mantis.
Praying's mantis, yeah, I think that's right.
We just a small suggestion through Instagram from @PVTL while we're talking mantis. Is there something in this? Two female praying mantises chatting in a bar/cafe. One says to the other, he's got a really good head on his shoulders.
Yeah. I think the thing is like, I had no idea they were decapitated until you told me. I don't think it's well enough known.
Well, I think it is in that we know that they're eaten But
I know where
it is-
they eat.
The
yeah.
decapitation part is often very exaggerated.
I think maybe like in that situation, I'd have the caption like she's talking about a guy she likes and be like, oh, I could just eat him. I
Right.
could just eat him up, you know. He's good enough to eat. He looks good enough to eat.
He looks good enough to eat. That's pretty funny. A little praying mantis in a tuxedo. Oh, he's so cute. You look cute enough to eat.
And are the two praying mantises at the table like they've got bows? Like that's how you can delineate? Just bows on that Ms. Pac-Man style?
I'm pretty sure that's the international sign for lady versus
Lady.
boy.
Yeah, that's right.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you for that one. Now, this one is from Josh. Josh says, big fan of the podcast. I've had a couple of ideas running around my head after listening to you and Scott. The first one is from the recent episode 9, and you were talking about the whales and Netflix and God watching people. My idea is to have God sitting there looking at that black screen you get when binge watching Netflix, asking if you are still watching. Have you ever been watching Netflix and then it asks you, are you still watching?
Yeah. But I think it's got to be toward God, though.
Yeah,
It's got to be.
is.
So it's God watching. I think it
So
should
it's the
because it says, "Are you
screen that
still
he's
watching?
watching.
Are you still
Yeah.
watching Friends or whatever?" It says what you're watching. Are you still watching Friends?
Oh, are you still
So
watching Friends? Oh,
if
is that
it's-
what it says?
Yeah. So
Oh,
if it's
okay.
like,
All right.
I mean, it depends. Like, you can do a lot of things, but like, are you still watching people in the bathroom? Or like, are you
Well,
still
he
watching-
says, throw in the show being about guns or the NRA after a school shooting.
Oh,
He said, might be a bit too on the nose, but might be something in
it's
it.
a bit maudlin, that one.
Mid-Portland, yeah. So it's, maybe it's like NRA, guns in America Netflix show and saying, are you still watching after a school shooting? Yeah, it might be a bit on the nose, but
I don't mind it as an idea, though.
the
like that.
idea is good. The idea is there. There's something
God
there.
watching is inherently weird.
Funny. It's insane.
It's funny. And
Yeah,
and
there's
the
something
thing is as
absurd
well is
about it.
it's something we made up. Man made that up. Like we could have had him like, oh yeah, he can't see you. Like,
Yeah.
like we could have made a safe place where like, no, it's fine. You
Right.
can go and masturbate and poop there. It's fine.
Yeah.
But instead, we've been like, he's everywhere.
Right. You know
Which
what?
is
It's true.
terrifying.
It's so convenient that that's what we decided. Like, I was on Tuesday. I was having breakfast. I was just having coffee with another New Yorker cartoonist, Joe Data, just at a diner in the city, and we were cracking wise and talking shop. And then all of a sudden, it went to religion. And we both, feel the same way. And he was talking about George Carlin and how George Carlin said, you know how I know that man made up the 10 Commandments? Because there's 10 of them. We made the metric system. Everything's in tens. Everything's conveniently listed on 2 tablets. And the fact that God's fingers were so chubby that he couldn't chisel them all on one. What, does he have no control over font size? Why are they on 2? Why are there 5 per tablet? Just put them all on one. There's so many absurdities to all of it, and he finds great mirth in parodying it. So anyway, Josh's second idea, he says, my second idea comes off the back of one of your earlier episodes, and you were talking about ISIS, this will be good, / terrorist organizations, and how you always see them training on monkey bars, and what is the purpose of that?
Yeah.
So go back and listen to that one if you missed it.
Yeah.
Some cracking jibes. I like the thought of a lineup of ISIS recruits standing at a fork in the road, looking up at the heavens at the 72 virgins. One pathway is an endless set of monkey bars leading up, similar to the stairway to heaven, and the other is a suicide vest or something along those lines. Could be a bit too dark, he says.
It's pretty dark. It's a
pretty
busy
dark.
picture. It's a very busy image.
Yeah, I just don't know that I could draw that many monkey bars, Josh.
Oh,
Although-
so what, how many virgins before you tap out? Because clearly more than 72.
That's true. It is the monkey bars to heaven. That's what it is.
See, and this is the thing, to the Carlin joke, just going back to that,
Yes.
72 is more believable. Like 72
Because it's
is
so random.
72 is the kind of weird, like
It's so
that's-
specific. It
It's
must
so
be for a
specific
reason.
that you'd be like, oh yeah, no, that's something that person would come up with 72 virgins. And the
Yeah, that checks out.
idea that because you'd say like, God, I'm just going to work on this theory that God is so powerful,
Right.
he couldn't fuck a human woman because he'd kill her with his like power dick. So So his idea is like his idea of what is like the thing people want
Right.
is like, oh yeah, virgins like that. Yeah, that yeah, virgins. Everyone likes a like.
Yeah. Give them what they want.
Whereas the reality of it is it's sex. Sex even amongst like people that are good at it is very weird and awkward.
Yes.
So to add another layer of like like someone that's never done it before, like that, no, that sounds terrible to me. But the 72 is the believable, like, yep, it's got to be 72, got to be 72. Yep, that's weird. Fahrenheit's a good system, like that kind of.
And are they going up there counting or going, oi, there's 71 here?
Hey, come here, you, yeah. We're a little light on the virgins.
A bit light on the virgins.
A little light. Maybe we head back. See if you can ruffle
We're
up.
going to get murdered for this.
See if you can rustle up the 4 that you promised for. Yeah. Okay.
Going to Paris, are you, Scott?
Yeah.
Have fun with that. Now, he said his last idea is about people skipping leg day. Have a bloke standing in the shops with a sign saying skinny jeans, but they look baggy on him. Have his mate or shop assistant saying something about this is why you don't skip leg day. Hope there is something in any of that. Have a good one, Josh.
Thanks, Josh. Yeah, I don't know. I could see that maybe like on a calendar in a gym. You know what I mean? Like I don't see that as being a universal kind of.
I mean, never skipping leg day is still a little bit inside baseball.
It's just such a meme kind of.
Yeah,
it's more
it's
a
definitely
meme
a meme,
than an observation.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So thank you for that, Josh.
Yeah, cheers, man.
And my lucky last one, I saved my favourite one for last.
Oh, okay.
And I think you'll enjoy this.
You read this one?
The reason I read it is because it was sent to me as a DM on Instagram.
Hello.
And there was a question at the end of it. So I thought, I better answer the question. The question is my favourite bit. It's from I'm Rick James bitch _ So thank you. Bit of a Chappelle fan. Okay, so he says, mate, love the podcast. Thank you. I'm Rick James bitch. On the Governor's Ball cartoon idea, maybe have the poster. Now, just to refresh listeners' memories, we were talking about the idea of the poster for the Governor's Ball and how he was constantly in contention with the mayor. So he has there's an ongoing feud between the two, between the state and the city. So on the Governor's Ball cartoon idea, maybe have the poster with all the acts listed at the bottom in biggish letters, brought to you by the Governor's office, but Governor's been crossed out for mayors, and then that's been crossed out in thicker pen for governors. And he says, or is that a bit too steamship?
Oh my God. He did.
He actually wrote out.
He didn't even want SS.
Steamship instead of saying, is that a bit SS?
Oh, wow. That's fantastic.
Isn't that great? I love our listeners. That's great. And I go, mate,
wow,
I just love that you've written
fantastic.
out steamship in actual words. And he goes, I felt SS was a bit too SS. Oh my God.
Oh, wow.
That's my favorite. I don't even care what the suggestion was. I just love that he called it a bit
That is
steamship.
a spicy. Hey, did I tell you I was doing this thing the other day with some friends where we could only say that's a spicy meatball, and then we were
what is
giving
your life?
and then we were giving each other different situations where the only thing you could say is that's a spicy meatball. So it's like, hey, tell Randeep that his family was just killed in a car accident. And my friend
that's
Nikki,
a spicy
my
meatball.
friend Nikki was like, that's spicy meatball.
A doctor coming out of surgery with bad news.
Yeah.
I'm afraid it's a spicy meatball.
Yeah. Or coming out of coming out of the maternity suite, like it's a spicy meatball. Like, and everyone starts applauding,
And then the dad starts jumping around and lights up a
Lighting
cigar because he's
cigars.
Italian. He's like, yes.
All right. Well, tune in next week. I'll be in
Yeah.
the City of Light.
Yes, so Scott will be coming to you live, well, pre-recorded, from Paris, and I'll be in New York City, and we'll be Skyping just like this, except Scott will have a much better view. I'll be staring, presumably, at a pile of cartoons. He'll be staring at the Eiffel Tower.
Potentially, yeah. We'll see. I don't know. I haven't decided what I'll
All being
stare at. Yeah, all right. And thank you very much for your suggestions. There was something else I wanted to tell. I'm trying to think. Was there something we wanted to tell people?
We have some big news. So let's just tease that until the episode next week where we can talk about it.
Yeah.
Scott and I have several pieces of news to share. So be sure to tune into episode 10 next week. We'd love to see you. Well, listen to you. Wait, no. We'd love you to listen to us. I'm new at this.
Oh, that was fucking seamless. That's the end.
Perfect. That's the end. Thanks, guys. See you next week. Oh, man. Perfect.